Welcome in to the Rock Talk Studio, the place to find your next great rock and roll book or documentary. This is the podcast that reviews, previews, and most importantly, recommends to you the good stuff. Like today's book that features a look at an 8-year period of one of rock and roll's all-time best 4-piece bands. I'm your host, Big Rick. Join me for an exclusive look into what's hitting the shelves and the screens, and get ready to rock your reading and viewing list. And today, the spotlight falls on the book Teenage Wasteland, The Who at Winterland, 1968 and 1976 by Edoardo Genzolini. Very interesting concept for this book. It's a look at The Who from a handful of unique perspectives, and when presented as a whole, it gets you close to the growth of the band by examining 2 career-defining concerts. Both those concerts were in San Francisco at their Winterland venue. There was a show in 1968, and then 8 years later, Winterland 76. And with this book, it's the presentation that really makes this piece stand out. This is a fresh take. It utilizes photographs from people who attended the shows, concert fans, and what they put in the book goes way beyond the usual choice pictures. This is where it's different. This is where this book stands out. It gives you everything, even the less than perfect shots, some actually a blur. And when I say include, I'm talking about over 500 pictures in this book. It's an innovative approach that succeeds because it found a way of delivering all these pictures with comprehensive coverage of The Who and looks at who they were as a band at these 2 very distinct times in their career. The author describes 1968 and 76 as the alpha and omega of The Who, the 2 ideal pinnacles that separated the underground entity of the band from the title of the undisputed gods of rock. That to me is what you get here. You get to witness the seismic shift in the band from 1968 to 1967 within the pages of this book. Also included is pictures and presentation of other San Francisco shows in that time period. Never before seen photos from Fillmore, 1967 and 68, the Cow Palace, 67 and 73, Fillmore West, 1968 and 69, Berkeley Community Theater, 1970, San Francisco Civic, 1971. Did anybody go to any of those shows? I'd love to hear if you did. The Who were having kind of a identity crisis between 68 and 76. The first show takes a look at the band that was actually considered a pop act in 68, and playing live in America, specifically San Francisco, exposed them to an audience who were expanding their consciousness and how music was becoming a reflection of that. The Who loved San Francisco in this new way of being. And this was the first time to America for Townsend and Company. And I say Townsend and Company because this book focuses primarily on Townsend. He gets a lot of the pub. There was ample time spent on Townsend's discovery and following of Guru Meher Baba. Meher Baba's teaching created new ways for Townsend to explore different concepts. And you see that in this book as Townsend starts to get antsy with destroying the stage every night, which was kind of their thing back in 1968. 68 was also the year The Who performed relentlessly. They did a lot of touring. You get to see glimpses of Townsend's work as he leans towards creating a rock opera. In between the 68 and 76 shows, the book covers a pretty wide range of topics. You've got really cool stuff about Bill Graham, the promoter, his presence with the band. There's an interview posted with John Entwistle taken from a discussion with an amp manufacturer. That was an interesting kind of side thing to this. And then there is a wide scope of the pictures. I mean, you got stuff before the first set, and then you have pictures of the first set, and then you have them in the dressing room getting ready for the second set, and then you have pictures of the second set. I mean, there is a ton of pictures telling and explaining this story in this book. Even some of the negatives are published in the pages. It's an all-access look at The Who during this time. And with that, you get a really good sense for the amazing contrast in their careers. The 1968 shows were very underattended, and the band was young. And then the second Winterland show, 8 years, 1 month, and 4 days later, was to 5,400 people. And that was a lot for Winterland. These shows were also the later shows were also during the Who tour that was seeing them draw like 76,000 people, which at the time was an indoor record for the Pontiac, Michigan Dome. Through the pictures, you can watch the maturation of the band. They appear visibly older as the book goes on, and looking at the pictures was kind of sad knowing that Keith Moon would pass away just 2 years later. I want to mention the foreword of the book because it was done by longtime San Francisco journalist Joel Selvin. Selvin is actually the winner of last year's Rock Talk Studios Book of the Year award. Joel wrote the spellbinding book, Drums and Demons, The Tragic Story of Jim Gordon. If you haven't read that book, it is amazing. High recommendation for that book, Drums and Demon. So forward by Joel Selvin of this book gives it a little more San Francisco feel. But what sets this book apart is it's not just a picture book with words. This book comes with a well-researched story that combines interesting perspectives that, when matched with the pictures, really drew me in to the subject matter and got me closer to the Who. And to me, that's a job well done. But it does lead to one question, and that's today's one big question about this book. And the one big question is, I've never read a rock and roll book with this many pictures. And though, like I mentioned, it worked in a lot of ways, but I have to ask and answer, was 500 pictures too many? Before I answer today's one big question and get into that Who book a little bit more, I want to tell you about something, and don't fast forward over this because I got some big news, and that is I'm going to be giving away another book. So far, I've given away 3 books this year, which I just love doing. I love being able to give people who support the Rock Talk Studio and love rock and roll books a free book. I gave away a Rush at 50, that hardcover book that went to Sammy S. Robin Hitchcock's really cool memoir, 1967, How I Got There and Why I Never Left, was delivered to Art B. And Chris Stein of Blondie's memoir, Under a Rock, that went to Gary E. And now some lucky, and I might even say extremely lucky, Rock Talk Studio Blast subscriber is going to win a free copy of Mike Campbell's absolutely stunning new memoir called Heartbreaker. Love this book. If you want to learn more about it, 2 episodes back is my review of it. Can't say enough good stuff about this book. The book is currently sitting number 1 on the top 5 rock and roll books released this year list, and it's really going to take a special book to knock it off the top. If you want to win the book and keep up with and watch the top 5 list of books and docs change and compete over the course of a year, all you've got to do is sign up for the Rock Talk Studio Blast. Just send me an email to info@rocktalkstudio.com and you will get the free monthly newsletter, and you'll be entered to win Mike Campbell's great new memoir, Heartbreaker. Okay, the one big question answer time. Let's take a look at if 500 pages is just too much for this book. And I think the actual count was 521. A lot of pictures. Well, first of all, I want to preference that this book is built like a coffee table style book. It's large and it's heavy. It's 8.5 by 11 inches, 526 pages with a really nice hardcover, glossy cover. So it's not the normal sized book, which in this case works great for the pictures. You get kind of a cinematic quality in its presentation. And the question about too much, not if you're a Who fan. This is an awesome book for a Who fan. There is so much to digest, and it really pulls you back in to a major chapter in the band's career. If you're not a Who fan, there is still a bunch of good rock and roll history here. I will definitely say that. And as I mentioned, the writing is really well done and really impacts the overall presentation of the book. It's not just, a couple paragraphs on a picture here and there. It's more than that. He's done a really good job with the writing and combining that with the pictures. A slight caution for non-Who fans, definitely, but a total heads up. You need to check this out for anyone who's into the Who. Before I drop a little tease about next week's title and what I'm going to be talking about, I wanted to mention the Rock Talk Studio archives, the archives to the podcast. If today's book sounds like something you're interested in, you have to check out episode 34, Prince and Purple Rain 40 Years. That was a photo-heavy book with sensational writing also by Andrea Swenson. If you're into memoirs like the Mike Campbell book I'm going to be giving away, check out episode 15, the sweet and poignant Lucinda Williams memoir. And then two of my favorites from last year. This is an easy one with memoirs. Episode 21, Geddy Lee's My Effin' Life, and Alex Van Halen's Brothers. That was episode 44. All these episodes are free, and they're all still available in the archives. Go on back, check a few out, get some good recommendations. Okay, let's take a look at what's coming up next week. What can you expect as a spotlight title? Well, it's a book about a game changer, a crazy idea that changed everything when it comes to rock and roll festivals. That might be too much of a hint. Either way, it's a good one, and I look forward to sharing all about it next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love talking rock and roll with you and being able to give you the scoop on a title I think is worth your time and money. I know a book that is definitely worth your time, because all you have to do to get a copy of it, the new Mike Campbell memoir, is take a moment and send me an email, and I'll enter you in for a chance to win. All right, folks, tear it down, pack it up, and head on down the road. We'll see you next time in the Rock Talk studio.